Hello and welcome to FPSKivotos. I'm your host Bridge, and let's get started. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite student from the After School Sweets Club. And of course, that means we're talking about Natsu. As always, we're going to talk about the similarities and differences between the version I have in real life and the one in-game. We're also going to talk about some of her battle animations, and of course, always show you guys firing footage. But getting straight into things, this is beyond the Lumination. The gun that I have here is the MPA Defender, but in reality, she has the Micro Uzi. Micro Uzis are pretty hard to come by here in the States, at least, you know, ones that aren't the pre-banned versions and stuff like that. They're very expensive guns. And I thought the smaller version of the MPA Defender would be the right pick. Now, I think I did a fantastic job at kind of mimicking the Micro Uzi as best I could. One of the biggest things that's like different between this and the Micro Uzi is the magwell, or just like the way the magazine is inserted into the gun. Obviously, you can see here, it's a straight mag, straight magwell, while the Micro Uzi has a more angled magazine and magwell setup. But like I mentioned, I think I did a really good job at, trying to get this to be as close as I possibly could. Obviously, the upper receiver here is the nice white color. We got the front end with the nice navy blue color, as well as the tiny little white ring in the front here. It's not really super noticeable on her gun, but adding that detail really kind of puts it all together, in my opinion. Now, her Micro Uzi has an attachment point about right here that kind of sticks out this way for, the little charm. And as you can see here, I do have a charm that's a muffin, at least. It's not the same design because hers is like got a strawberry on top. This is a cherry, and it's got, the stars and more of a black or like a navy blue holder for it. But I think it gets the point across. I mean, you can tell that it's very similar to her charm. The nice thing about the MPA Defender is that it is pretty similar to the Micro Uzi. It's not based on a Micro Uzi, it's more based on the Mac 11. But I think the iron sights are already, pretty solid. I mean, as you can see, this picture here of her Micro Uzi, it's got the same general shape and, look to it. The charging handle is a little bit different. It can't be fully one-to-one, but I mean, painting it white, it gets the point across. Now, obviously, since this isn't a Micro Uzi, I had to kind of figure out how exactly I wanted to do the separation between the blue and the white here. And I think I did a pretty good job on both sides of the guns to at least allow it to have this blue detailing here, because I feel like, obviously, if it was just all white, it would look nothing like the Micro Uzi. But I feel like if I went all the way to the back, it would just look a little odd, because as you can see in the picture of the Micro Uzi, it does kind of, do a little sweep. And I think this gets more of the general look of it more down, especially considering the back end of the Micro Uzi is fully white. I feel like if I went too far, it would look a little odd, and if I did too little, it would also just look odd. So I think this was the best of both worlds to try to get it to be more stylized than anything. Funny thing about the MPA Defender is that the safety selector is right here. So, this is fire, pointing this way, and this is safe. It's a little odd, but it gets the job done. Moving down to the trigger guard, as in the trigger itself, you can see it's the nice white color. I did a really good job at separating. I think the nice thing about having it be so, I guess, rectangular, that it made it really easy to separate the colors and actually make the lines look nice. This MPA Defender in particular has a trigger shoe to make the trigger pull a little bit more bearable, because it's not the greatest trigger pull in the world. I do want to see if I can get the FRT for this thing. I think that'd be really cool. When I talk about the battle animations, she does shoot the gun in 3-round bursts, and obviously, I could pull the trigger 3 times, right? But I think it'd be really fun to just shoot this in, FRT. I thought about after doing this video, it'd be really cool to get the, there's some aftermarket attachments to give it a Picatinny point here to allow it to have a brace, kind of make it more like a PCC. I think it'd be kind of cool. There is a longer version of the MPA Defender that has a little pick rail about basically right here that allows you to potentially get a angled foregrip here, and I think it'd have a little bit more stability, because with a brace like this, I mean, yeah, you could definitely get another point of contact there, but I think having that extra forend would make it a little bit nicer to use as a, backpack gun of some sorts. And I think it did a really good job at trying to at least mimic the design on the gun, because I didn't want to just paint it. I wanted to have actually some, extra grip on it, rather than, because it's just flat metal at that point. It would just be very smooth metal, and it'd be really easy to slip out of my hands and stuff like that. But giving this stippling makes it a little bit easier to grip, and it gives it some nice texturing as well. Now it is peeling off, obviously, because especially on the back here, it's not really on. It's too terribly strong, but it's a gun I'm going to be using. It's going to chip and fall off. It is what it is at the end of the day. Moving down a little bit further, we have the mag release. It's just a paddle mag release. You just press that and just pull the mag out. It's really nice, ambidextrous, obviously, which is really nice for me because as a left-handed shooter, you know, not a lot of things are ambidextrous. So I don't know much about the micro Uzi, but I think it's these little 2 tabs on the side here that you're gonna press down to pull out the magazine, but I'm not entirely sure. These are standard capacity magazines, about 30 rounds. You can see it is also painted the matched color scheme. Obviously, I don't want to paint the whole thing because I don't want that friction to, you know, muck up everything. But these are standard capacity magazines, and they're actually based on, I believe, Sten mags or something like that. So I could get like official real Sten mags and put them in. I think it's Sten mags. I wish I could get like a shorter one just to get that more, you know, proper look, because Natsu's isn't that long. I think it cuts off about around here for Natsu's. It is what it is at the end of the day. And honestly, it just kind of, it looks pretty neat. But yeah, this turned out fantastic. I'm a really big fan of just, you know, kind of the liberties I took, because obviously, you know, it's not the same gun. If I showed you this and I asked you whose gun from Blue Archive is this, you'd probably say it's Natsu's, right? Because, I mean, it looks pretty damn close to it, and I'm really proud with the overall design of it. Very interestingly, she didn't have any stickers. Not all the girls have stickers on their guns, but it's kind of interesting that the Sweets Club girls, at least for Natsu in particular, she didn't have stickers on this, but other than the charm. But now, let's address the elephant in the room. Obviously, in the firing footage, as you've seen, I do actually have Natsu's shield, as you can see here. Now, this is pretty damn cool. I actually do have another one of these, I bought these on eBay. They're just, you know, more airsoft riot shields, you know, polycarb. And it was originally clear, and I did paint it. I used translucent spray paint, and it is on the darker side. I wanted to try to do a lighter coat, but it's just really hard to find that very specific color. I think I went a little overboard with the layers, I think, to make it, you know, more darker. But at the end of the day, honestly, I think it looks really, really good. Now, the biggest thing is the logo here, obviously, the sugar. But the biggest thing is that I wish it was a little bit bigger. I tried my best to measure it out to see exactly what kind of like size it would be on the shield, and I just kind of dropped the ball. It was a little bit too small. But at the end of the day, I think it still looks really, really good. As you can see here, the attachment points for the handle and the strap are the, you know, same color as hers. They do spin, which I think is kind of funny, but you know, they look the part. And I think this is a really, really cool addition to the overall build, because I mean, you know, actually being able to hold it, and as you can see on this side, it has the original handle and everything like that. That's not anything different, but being able to actually like hold the gun up and shoot it with the shield was very fun. It wasn't very accurate because obviously, you know, you're just blind firing at that. You're just pointing and shooting at that point. But actually being able to hold her actual shield and do some of the animations was pretty cool. And I didn't half-ass it either. The entire shield is the light blue color with the white, and I think it's, like I said, I think it really puts the whole entire build together. Because if I just made the gun, you know, it's just a gun, right? But having the actual shield and everything that goes around her, just, you know, play style is really cool. But one of the probably other big difference is that the bolt itself is not white. Painting things that move a certain color doesn't always bode well in the end of the day, because you have a layer of paint on something that gets oiled up and then has to move every single time you pull a trigger. It probably wouldn't have lasted very long. So I decided to amend that so the gun could actually, you know, work. But like I said, I think this turned out fantastic, and I think I did Natsu proud. But with all that out of the way, let's move on to the battle animations. If you guys have been enjoying this episode, please make sure to bash the skulls of your enemies. I mean, hit the like, comment, and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to know when I upload every single time. Moving on to the battle animations, when it comes to base Natsu and some of her animations, her fire animation is pretty interesting. She does go into a crouch position and puts the shield down and starts shooting. And specifically, she shoots in 3-round bursts. I think that's just kind of the norm, really, at the end of the day for Blue Archive. Not a lot of them do full auto, but it's mostly just like 3-round bursts in some sorts, because it makes sense, you know, especially for an SMG, especially one-handed. 3-round burst makes the most sense to have the most control. One of the interesting takeaways is that her, like many others, shoot 3-round bursts and only shoot 15 rounds before they do a reload. And speaking of the reload animation, she only has one. She has the shield down, and she somehow manages to whip the shield in her arm, which you can't really see the strap on it, but I'm assuming she has, you know, the strap and then the actual grip itself. I've done that in the firing footage as well. It's pretty difficult because you have a fucking shield strapped to your arm. So trying to manipulate a gun and grab another magazine while you have a fucking giant polycarbonate thing on your arm is pretty difficult at the end of the day. But anime girl logic be damned, she can do it flawlessly every single time. And just because we can talk about her EX skill for the base card. She takes incoming explosive fire, puts her shield down, shrugs it off, finds a milk carton, and just takes a nice little swig of it. I copied that. At least I tried to do something similar in this kit. I think it looked pretty good. Now, I don't have banned Natsu because I haven't really played the game much, but I do have some animations and some footage from a different content creator that I can look over here real quick. Now, for some reason, even though she doesn't have her shield anymore, she does have her, her drumstick, her singular drumstick, and her gun in her other hand. And curious enough, in the base card, she shoots the micro Uzi, or, well, my MPA defender in my case, with her right hand and holds the shield in her left hand, which makes sense for a right-hand dominant shooter. For banned Natsu, she holds the gun and shoots it in her left hand and holds the drumstick in her right hand. And so this is another case of the girls probably being ambidextrous, but also so it doesn't look weird because you just be looking at their back at that point if she was holding it with her right hand. And obviously if you had them in PvP, they're just mirrored, so in that case, if they're on the opposite side, they're going to be shooting with the right hand. So I know why they do it. It's more just because of that mirroring thing rather than them being ambidextrous, but I think it's really interesting to think that they are ambi. But besides that, she does still shoot it in 3-round burst, but for some reason she holds it out with her left hand and has her drumstick and other end pointing like fucking World War I, World War II style point and shooting type deals. I think is really funny, but she does actually have a pretty proper reload animation where she drops a magazine and just smacks another one in there. I think it's always really interesting to see the evolution of animations because, from newer cards to the previous ones when the game first came out. It's cool to see how they improve in their animations. But with all that out of the way, let's move on to the conclusion. Thank you guys for making it all the way to the end. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This one has been, in the works for quite a while. I've actually finished the gun and the shield for a really long time. I got the firing footage. I just hadn't had time to sit down and actually record things because I've been the off-kai and a bunch of other stuff. Just life things in general. I might have the off-kai video. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to make a video for it or not. When it comes to the Blue Archive stuff, I'm just really happy with just how this one turned out. It might not be the micro Uzi, but it's pretty goddamn close to it. And the shield is a really, really cool addition to have. Now, when it comes down to pipeline, that's currently with the Hellion and this. Those are the two most recent Blue Archive guns I've had. I need to start looking into getting more guns for projects, whether it be for the VTubers. I do have some VTuber ones that I already own and just have in the pipeline. I just want to, do the videos for and stuff like that. But I'm looking into different guns for the Blue Archive girls. I know things with Blue Archive have been kind of weird lately, especially with the JP side. But they did recently show off the Maritime girls, which I think is really cool in the most recent event. I believe it's the Maritime girls. They have some really interesting World War I based guns that I've seen. I know one of the girls has the Hell Regal, which is there's only been 5 pictures of that gun, and it's only been in Battlefield 1, which I love that gun, but I'm not gonna fucking get that, right? Now granted, I don't know if she's just an NPC or she's gonna be a playable character. Who knows exactly, right? But there's a bunch of different guns that have been coming out lately, and some of the interesting things. As you probably noticed, I haven't been doing much uploading lately, so I'm trying to figure things out and try to get the money to really do these things. Because off-kai is now in April for some fucking reason. But anyway, as of right now, when it comes to Blue Archive specific projects, I'm not sure what's next. I have a few ideas, but I'm not going to tell you yet. And to finish things off, thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers. I can't believe, even if my upload cadence has been kind of bad lately and been mostly the VTuber guns, which you haven't really gotten many views, but at the end of the day, they're just really fun for me to do for those communities. And obviously the big community that I'm part of, which is Hios. But regardless of that, thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for just being here, It really means a lot to me, even though for the most part, my love for Blue Archive hasn't dwindled down. I just haven't been playing the game really much lately. I mean, the gameplay is kind of the same, and I've played the game for, however long it's been out at this point, and you get burned out on things. But I still love the characters, I still love the designs, I still love the guns. It's just getting the money to actually do these things is the hard part. So thank you very much for making this actually worthwhile for me to do. So like I said, stay tuned. I'm not entirely sure what's the next Blue Archive project. If you check out my Twitter, I might have some posts there eventually about what's next and, all the VTuber clips and stuff that I do there as well. But with all that out of the way, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've been your host, Bridge, and I'll see you guys in the next one.